So normally I record a trigger warning / sex, spoilers, and swearing warning as my mic test, but today felt like an appropriate day to really hammer home there are so many triggers in this book. Turn back. If this material offends you, don't listen.
Yeah, we're getting way too into it to not be so upsetting.
It's just all of this book is very, very upsetting and triggering, and so much violence and like, all bad.
Like all of the triggers, Colleen Hoover was like, check all.
Yeah.
Now they're in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, we're back. Hi! It's been a little while. We're going to be more consistent about uploading in the future. Ironically, us going back to school is likely going to mean that we have a more consistent schedule for uploading. This summer's been kind of chaotic. We all have different jobs. And I would just like everyone to know that it is hot where we are. So the windows in my apartment are open. I will do my best to keep the background noise clean, but if you hear stuff outside, sorry. The joys of recording in an apartment.
With construction on the road outside.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's Verity, Colleen Hoover. Book talk strikes again.
It really does. Allow me to introduce.
Grace is very passionate about this scene.
Oh, it was Lori's idea.
Yeah, I was the one that chose this scene because it's. I mean, a lot of this book. I can't. But go on.
It's
please.
really stuck with them.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know why he didn't use the door, but it makes me laugh. I pull a pillow over my face and smile. What has come over me? Maybe this house is fucking with my head because half the time I'm ready to get the hell out of here, and half the time I never want to leave. That manuscript is definitely fucking with my head. I feel like I'm falling in love with the man, and I've only known him for a few weeks. But I'm not only falling in love with him in real life. I've fallen in love with him because of Verity's words. Everything she revealed about him has given me insight into the kind of person he is, and he deserves better than what she gave him. I want to give him what she never did. He deserves to be with someone who will put her love for his children before anything else. I pull the pillow off my face and place it under my hips, lifting them so that everything he just left inside me doesn't seep out.
Ew.
Ew. Ew. Ew.
Like, it's so gross.
Babe, stop.
Should we do Grace's Minute?
Oh.
On top of that, I mean, sure.
I believe in you.
It's been a minute. Do you remember all of the stuff that happened?
It has been a while since I've read this.
Yeah.
I will admit to that. I think I remember the important things.
All right.
I feel okay. I feel mostly good about this.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Yes.
you ready?
Yes.
Got a timer.
Okay.
And go.
So, not famous author Lowen has been recruited to ghostwrite for a lady who's in a coma because she crashed her car into a tree and now she's just in a coma. But she's recruited by the husband, and the husband is a fucking freak. But that's besides the point. So she goes to the husband's house because he was like, I can't make sense of her notes. Maybe you can, because you're a writer, haha. And anyway, she shows up, and he only has one kid, and she's like, the kid's fucking weird. And he's like, yeah, I love him.
30 seconds.
In all the notes, she finds this manuscript, and it's written by the original writer, and it's her being like her villain manifesto, where she talks about all she wants is sex, and she's convinced that she had two daughters first, they're twins. She's convinced that one of them killed the other, so then she ends up killing the other one. And Lowen just slowly learns all of these things as the book goes on, and also falls in love with the husband. And then eventually they figure out that the woman in a coma is no longer in a coma, and it's a whole thing. And I hate it so much, but that's besides the point also. And then we get a big twist at the end with a letter.
The end. You finished early.
I tried
By
so
like
hard.
a second.
Right. Like half a second.
Oh.
I started like writing reviews because one of our classes made us write book
nice.
reviews. So I tried to get really good at summarizing books in one sentence.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I did that with Breaking Dawn, but then I was like, no, but there's more I need to tell you about right now.
Yeah.
But with this one, this is a hard one to summarize in one sentence.
It really is. Because there's too much going on.
There's a lot going on.
For a really
But
a
also
shorter book.
Nothing
I know.
going on.
Yeah.
Like, the things that happen in the present are so nothing burger.
Yeah.
It's like the first 30 minutes of a horror movie, and then like it cuts out the hour of like actual scary shit happening, and then you just get the end,
Well,
the epilogue.
I mean, to be fair, it does do some of the scary shit where she's like trying to, or like figuring out that Verity isn't actually in a coma.
Yeah.
Because in like, for as far as these people know, she's in a coma, like not
She's
a
in a
coma,
coma.
but like whatever, what is it? Like how do you?
Oh, vegetative state.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
She's
so.
in a vegetative state, and
I
it's just
forgot she was
like,
in a coma.
so she's like, you know, this woman has walked. This woman has, I've
that shit
seen
was sketchy.
her. Like, yeah, super hoary, super like,
Yeah.
that shit is happening there in the present. But no, you're right, like the manuscript is where all the action happens.
Exactly. But also, I described the like summary of this book to my brother while we were discussing disturbing movies because
Yeah.
that's a thing he's really into right now.
Yeah.
And he also agreed that the twist was dumb, which
Little
felt very
bit.
validating to me. But also agreed that this is like a disturbing setting, which is like,
Very.
I don't want to say it's refreshing, but it's refreshing in a way.
Yeah. I mean,
Which is why I hate the twist.
I do have to say
We'll
I'm a
tell
little
later.
bit like nervous to record this episode because I don't think we've ever, as a group, had such a range of opinions because like
Yeah.
I experienced mild enjoyment.
Yes.
You were neutral most of the time.
Middling.
Lori hated their life.
I
like, the
despised
whole
it.
time.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's a very well written book.
Yeah.
Hate everything about it.
I do have to say, okay, so Lori and I went to the beach one day while they were reading this book, and I had gone to work that morning, so I was kind of tired, so I just, like, got into my swimsuit, put on my sunscreen, and just, like, had a siesta on the beach by the ocean.
A+.
And then I woke up, like, an hour later,
Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah.
Hour and a half.
and you just had this, you were, like, lying on your stomach with the most disturbed look on your face, staring at the book, and I, like, lifted my sunglasses, I was like, you good? And you were like, no!
Okay, I think that was the moment I'd gotten to the part where she tries to abort her babies.
With a coat hanger.
Like, super late term.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, yeah. Because,
She
like,
wouldn't.
but also, and I do remember saying this to you, and it's like, it feels really horrible, but at the same time, I can relate.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's also just like, I don't want to do that to myself at all. Like,
No.
it would be the grossest thing in the world to me, and it's just like,
Just to clarify, to have a baby, right?
To have a baby.
Yes.
It's not for everybody.
but
like,
I
the
would,
other part of it is also upsetting and disturbing.
Yes.
You don't want to do that to yourself, but having the baby was
is the
first
gross part.
problem.
Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
if I broke my morals like that, and I could see myself having that mental break and doing something that horrible, like,
Totally.
you know, and it's just like, oh my god, you
I
know?
totally forgot that happened, honestly. But then I remembered that one of the twins has a scar. And
Yes!
That was like, yeah.
And it's
oh
like,
my gosh.
oh my god.
Okay,
Everything
so
to it?
disturbing content.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is your last
Yeah.
warning. Turn back.
Oh
If
my
you
God.
were easily,
this
you
is
were
beyond, like,
Just mentioned coat hanger abortion. Now you get your final warning.
yeah.
I suppose appropriate given what's happened recently in politics.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Anyway,
don't
That's a
even
whole
talk
other-
about this.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
But yes,
Anyway,
the
so
summary.
first sentence of the book, quite literally, a man's head cracks open and the blood splashes onto our
Gross
protein.
ass way to open a book.
But I will say it does well to establish how fucking
Oh,
gross this book is about
yes.
to get and how like no
Foreshadowing.
holds barred it is.
Yeah, it really sets the
Um,
scene.
Yes, which like part of what annoyed me about this book was how like and I get that anyone can read anything. It is totally up to them. It's
Yeah.
their discretion or it's like their guardian's discretion, whatever. But
Mhm.
like the fact every time I'm at work and I hear teenagers going on about how much they love Colleen Hoover books, I get so nervous.
Yeah.
But they are so easy and like quick to read that it's
Yeah.
no wonder teenagers have like gripped them so well, and they are so like melodrama, they are so all these things. But also I don't want people who don't have an adult maturity to read these things and be so upset by them. Like I want, it's like the one time I want to protect.
Yeah, I get that.
Colleen Hoover books are usually in the adult section.
They
Oh,
are
for
absolutely
sure.
in the adult section, but that does not stop the teenagers from coming to the adult section and being like, I loved Ugly Love and like November 9 is my favorite and like
Yeah. But like,
Yeah, no, I get it.
I was reading adult books when I was like 12.
yeah.
Like, and yeah.
I don't know. I just do genuinely feel like there are books that are in the adult section because they are written to like a grade level of adult. I'll say it. 'Cause
No, I
I can't
mean,
remember like how to describe it.
yeah,
But like content wise, it's not necessarily like graphic
yeah.
adult shit. You know.
Like, and I understand that as what, like, the different perspectives, but, like,
Yeah.
I do mean that I was reading,
Oh.
like, traumatic shit as, like, a
Yeah.
12-year-old that I'm
Yeah.
like, cool.
We did all have to sit
Um,
through speeches and lectures about the Holocaust for all of
Oh,
late
yes.
elementary and middle and high school.
1984
Absolutely.
is an adult book.
Yeah.
Is it?
Some hella
So is
disturbing.
Animal Farm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
because it was written before we really clarified grade level shit.
Yeah, we did. Anyway, so
Anyway, yes. Opens with car
our-
accident.
okay, that said though.
Exploding head.
Yeah.
I like her name. Lowen is a cool name.
It's
I
a
like
cool
it.
name.
Yeah.
So it's Lowen Ashley.
Hmm.
She's an author, possibly an agoraphobic. Is that the right term for
Super agoraphobic. She's been looking after her
major
dying
social
mother.
anxiety?
Oh,
Yeah. She's been locked in an apartment looking after her dying mother for a year?
Yeah,
Can't remember.
some long indeterminate.
I think it
amount
said
of
that she hadn't
time.
left the apartment in 6 months.
Yes.
Like, which is wild.
Yes, but as a writer who writes under a pen name and doesn't do any of the PR shit, like
I
her
thought she
job
didn't-
works out for her pretty
I
well.
thought she didn't write under a pen name until she took over for Verity.
No, she does. She
Oh.
picks a different pen name to
Oh.
write for Verity because she's
She
like,
does not want the attention.
she
Right.
doesn't want it at
Which
all.
is like interesting, given that her later on when we meet her literary agent. Her literary agent says your books would be New York Times bestsellers if you did like put
The PR
yourself
shit.
out there a little more, and
But why?
she does not.
Like,
It's to say that
zero
she's a really
interest.
good writer, but also if publishers aren't backing you and like putting you on the fucking market, you're not gonna get the attention.
okay.
Which
But
is
she's also
a
not-
hot button issue
Yeah.
right now. Fun fact.
She's not also really making the like. She has zero desire to.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
one bit. She
She-
does not
she-
like people.
Um,
She is already complaining about leaving the house, and of course, the moment she leaves the house, she ends up with a stranger's brain matter on her shirt.
Anyway, so a man, our male love interest, sir,
We'll call
who
him.
has a wedding ring at this very moment,
Yes.
Jeremy Crawford, helps her
Sorry.
into a nearby coffee shop to get cleaned up, and he gives her his men's shirt since hers is bloodied and ruined. And somehow they get into, all of a sudden he's telling her that his 8-year-old child drowned 5 months ago in a lake by their house.
They're trading trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in response, she's like, "My mom died last week from cancer," and they come out of the coffee shop bathroom together. People give them strange looks, and they part ways, thinking that they'll never see each other again. Oh boy!
Lo and behold.
Lo-
And then she goes to Lowen goes to make her meeting with Corey, who a literary agent, who's also her ex-boyfriend,
Yeah, they fucked.
and an editor
Solid choice.
at Pantom Press, which is a fictional big publishing house.
Yes.
So she heads up to the publishing house office, and she runs into Jeremy again. And it turns out that the person that the editor and her agent want her to meet with is Jeremy. Because Jeremy's wife is a writer. Corey shows up, and Lowen's like, "My mom passed away last week, and I haven't left the apartment in months. Why am I here? I don't want to be here." And
Yeah.
Corey's like, "They're about to make you an amazing offer," and she's like, "Why are we here? I'm just gonna turn it down." And he's like, "Why are you like this?"
I'm also like, why are you like this? Through
Yeah.
the entire book, she ain't.
'Cause
we can get into it
depression.
later, but oh my gosh, I know it's because depression, but oh my gosh, her like just as a spoiler to what's ahead. Her reading the manuscript and then like we cut back to her perspective, being like, "I'm vomiting right now." I'm like, are
Yeah.
you fucking serious? Like, how are you so soft? You just watched your mother die for months. Like, are you
Yeah.
serious? But anyway.
So Rowan mentions that she's having some trouble with her mom's will, and he offers to connect her with the lawyer at his literary agency in case she needs help, but Lowen says no because she cannot afford. She drained her savings to make sure that her ever-complaining mother was comfortable in the last couple months of her life, and now has no money. So despite the fact that she's like, whatever this offer is, I'm going to reject it, despite knowing nothing about what's about to happen. Yeah. But she also is like, I'm about to be evicted because I can't pay the rent.
Yeah.
So there's that. Jeremy comes in along with some lawyers and an editor from Pantom Press, and the editors explain that one of their best-selling authors is unable to fulfill the contract for medical reasons, and they're looking for a ghostwriter to complete the 3 remaining books in her book series, which have already been started. And Lowen would have to do publicity. So Lowen's like, no. Anyway, the author in question is Verity Crawford, who is a very well-known mystery/suspense writer, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And
she's like well received because she writes from the villain's perspective.
Yeah, which is like a fresh new thing.
Oh, what a hot take. Crazy.
Yeah.
And then Lowen realizes that Verity is Jeremy's
published?
wife.
Yeah.
2018?
It did get a re-release when it became popular in Book Talk.
This is the new cover.
Yeah,
this is the new cover.
Yeah, sorry, I had the moment of, because you were like jokingly like, what a revelation, like a new thing, and it's just like,
was it?
When was it?
No.
Because they're the whole Disney thing where they're like Maleficent and Cruella and what's the other one? There's another one. I can't remember. Anyway, not important. But like that's a fairly recent trend, you know?
In film.
Sure.
I would say it's not as recent in book.
But like entirely from the villain perspective? Or like sympathetic, because that's a very different trope. Like telling it from the villain's perspective versus like what is it, anti-hero or like sympathetic I don't want to say sympathetic villain because I don't think that's the right term, but I know. Yeah. Sympathetic antagonist, I don't know. Anyway,
so Lowen doesn't care about any of this because she's gonna say no.
Yeah, but she is, like, she does know Verity's name and know of her as a very great author. She's not read any of her books, and she's sitting there being like, why did this lady pick me? And apparently Verity was the one who picked her.
Yes.
Apparently.
So Verity's been in a car accident, and we don't know that she's in a vegetative state at this moment.
No.
But the editor says that she's medically unable to complete the books in her contract.
yeah.
So Lowen says no because she's like that, and Jeremy says, "Can I talk to you by yourself?" And Jeremy also mentions that they lost 2 of their kids, twins named Chasten and Harper, within 6 months of each other. And he reveals that Lowen's book was one of Verity's favorites. He says, you are Verity's first choice, so you could ask for way more money for these books, and you don't have to do any press. And then Lowen also says, I want to do this under a pen name because I hate people. They agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jeremy just wants this to happen.
But like, the only reason she accepts this is because of him.
Yeah, because he's pretty.
Because he's pretty.
He's pretty, and he's asking her politely.
Yeah.
She goes home, there's an eviction notice.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Wow.
Oh no.
Shocking.
This is fine because she leaves right away to go to the Crawford house in Vermont, which is where Verity's office is, where she did all her writing and all her notes and manuscripts are, because these books have apparently been started and there are outlines, and that's where all that stuff is.
But no one can find them because no one can decipher her disaster of an office.
Yes, apparently.
Which means they just didn't go in there.
Nope.
Didn't even attempt it.
No.
So Lowen is going to be staying at the Crawford home.
Woo.
Corey thinks that's weird. And Lowen's like, low-key, I have nowhere else to go. I've just been evicted.
She does keep saying, like, I'll be there for, like, 2 nights, and then I'll get I'll go to a hotel. But Jeremy keeps being like, no, you can stay as long as you want. And she's like, I'm just going to stay for 2 nights. And he's like, it's a lot of stuff in that office.
Yeah.
You can stay as long as you want. And she's like, just 2 nights.
Yeah. And then she stays for like 2 weeks.
So fucking long.
So fucking long.
So fucking long.
Yeah.
So online, she does some research and learns that one of the twins, died of an allergic reaction to peanuts at a sleepover, and the other drowned in the lake that's behind their home. And Verity's car accident occurred when she hit a tree head on, pretty much.
Yeah.
And
Pretty soon after the second daughter drowned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Me? Yeah. Heads out to Vermont, listens to the audiobook on the way there because she's like, maybe if I'm gonna write these, I should know what these books are actually about.
Yeah.
And she gets like super engrossed and like friggin' loves it so much. But when she shows up, she meets the nurse and crew,
Yes.
who is
The remaining
the
son.
remaining
The
son,
child. Well,
last
the only
child.
son.
The only son and
The
the
remaining
last child.
child,
But Jeremy makes sure to introduce her to the nurse under her pen name.
Right.
Does he introduce crew as...
I think so. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
I think the only one that knows her actual name is
Is
Jeremy.
Well, I don't
Which
like
is
that.
very isolating.
Yeah, but yeah, so, and also fun fact, they picked her pen name by going off her porn name, which is a classic move.
Which is hilarious that it's so normal.
I know.
what is it again?
It ends up being Laura Chase because she had a pet named Laura, and the street she grew up on was like Chase Street or something.
I think it was the other, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Like,
That's so normal.
it's so normal. That's such a coincidence. It's insane.
The internet doesn't react well to this news.
No.
They make a
They
point
all
of
get very upset about it when the
her
publishing
diehard
house-
fan base.
Yeah, they're all like,
Right.
who is this bitch and why is Verity doing this and all this stuff, but
Well,
like...
because don't they say that she's, like, doing it in collaboration
Yeah.
with Verity? Like, they don't want to tell people that Verity's
No. It's being
not able to do anything.
super low-key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure she only knows going in that Verity is still in the house because Jeremy has obviously expounded either, like, with her knowledge of what he's talking about or without. But she knows, she can figure it out. But each of the books, this is such a cheesy concept to me that each of the books are a different virtue.
I know. It's
But they're written from the villain's perspective and they're all bad people, haha.
Yeah.
So she has to write for courage, truth, and honor, which is that supposed to be an ironic thing for the rest of the book? That those are her virtues?
Probably.
Probably, right?
She got none of those.
Yeah. But as she's going through the office, she spots this manuscript that we keep alluding to in like some random desk or something.
Yeah.
And as she starts reading it, she realizes it's an autobiography that Verity has been writing about her like meeting Jeremy and having the kids and everything. But oh my gosh, Verity is writing herself as such a villain. And being all like, I met him for sex, I only wanted him for sex, like, we are clearly lying to each other the entire time, because this opening chapter is, like, when they met at this fancy party, which, him getting into a limo that isn't his was actually super fucking cute.
That was really funny.
Like, that's a good meet cute
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
But the whole time, she is thinking about, like, oh, he's so hot, and I just want to get into his pants, but, like...
But, like, it's a hookup.
It's a hookup.
Like-
She's allowed to think that way.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, they get together and, like, have these horrid affairs. But, yeah, so she ends it by being like, he's the one thing that I care about more than myself, or whatever shit.
Yeah.
Just to, like, really hammer home how, like,
Yeah.
selfish and, like, insane she is. So... Lowen is like horrified after reading this, being like, "Oh my gosh, she's such a bad person. What the heck?" And this,
Girl, it only gets worse.
it only gets worse.
Yeah.
And also, this reaction is her reaction to every chapter she reads from now on. Every time she's like, "This is so disturbing, and this is such an awful woman, but also I can't stop reading it. It's so addictive."
Yeah.
And like, I will go on dusk till dawn how much I hate lampshading. This feels like
A
lampshading.
little bit.
To have Lowen react so viscerally to each and everything that happens in these chapters makes me feel like, am I also a bad person for not, like, being so upset about this? Like, no.
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 Well, that's part of the point of the genre, too, though, is
Oh,
to get
yeah.
your heightened emotions.
Yeah.
And
true.
but the thing is too with the villainizing of Verity being in love with Jeremy was like her being like so obsessively in love with him.
Yes.
Like it wasn't just this is like the love of my life, you know, it's great. It's her literally losing herself into this like, and it wasn't really like the feeling of love, it was the obsession.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's so important that like she has now found a thing to love more than herself. Like it is very much just like a you are now my object of worship rather than a person I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she realizes it's been for fucking ever, so she comes out of the office like a gremlin, as we all do, and hits up Jeremy, and he's like, "Do you want food?" And she ends up asking him about his dead children and about Verity and like her medical situation, which like obviously is information we need, but oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Verity, who is there and in a vegetative state, appears to be conscious but unresponsive.
Yes.
Effectively.
She is. So this is a nice, like, lovely little townhouse out in the middle of nowhere. Like, they have no neighbors anywhere, and like a lake. They back onto a lake, but it's just like woods. Just so much driving in the middle of Vermont. So the children's bedrooms and Verity's room are all upstairs, and the office is on the first floor.
Something like that.
I think. Yeah, so previously the parents, like Jeremy and Verity, slept on the first floor, but when she got into this coma, he started sleeping upstairs to be like closer to Verity and to Crew.
Yeah.
Is what I remember. But they are in different bedrooms.
Where's her bedroom? Is her bedroom on the first floor or the second floor?
Lowen's?
Yeah.
She ends up taking the master bedroom on the first floor.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, no, because, yes.
It becomes important later.
It becomes important later.
Oh my god. But yeah, so Verity is upstairs. She is like eyes open comatose. But has this nurse to look after her, and then when the nurse leaves at like midnight, Jeremy is in charge of looking after her.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of like taking her for walks in her wheelchair and like
making sure she takes her meds.
Making her take her meds and her food and everything. But she is pretty close to brain dead, as far as we can all assess. But they're just like keeping her alive.
Yes.
Because she's unresponsive, but eyes are open and her heart is beating. Let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Lowen is so invested in this book, even though she's so upset about it, that she picks it up again. She in this section of their life together, Verity and Jeremy, he has to go away for work, and she becomes so like distressed by this because she's her object of affection is so far away, and she can't have the dick to satisfy herself. This is when she writes her first book.
Yep.
To like take the place of him.
Yep.
And she even like talks about how like she always imagines this character as Jeremy, and like he is always the main character of her stories, which like to me paints Jeremy as a very bad person. That like she has written all these horrific like thriller suspense books that center around this caricature of Jeremy.
Was he the villain though, or was he just the main male protagonist?
I don't know. I don't understand enough about these books. I did not understand what they were trying to say these books were, except that they were like scary villain books.
I always imagined that her protagonist was
like that he was the good guy.
Female, yeah, because she was the villain and he was the hero.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I do know. I get what you're saying.
But actually,
because
I don't know how much I want to talk about this right now because it's
say,
so important later. But like, seeing him as the villain is like really interesting though.
Yeah.
Go on, please.
Because I don't like him.
That's fine.
Yeah, he likes Verity's book. When he gets back, they like immediately have sex, and he like instead of proposing to her, just like slips a finger ring on her finger as she's like dick deep.
I forgot to say that the three things that I liked about this book.
Yes.
Was goddamn it, Baron. I will never forget about it because it was the funniest fucking
so
thing.
good.
It happens like 5 minutes in, but it's like one of the people from the production, whoever the hell they are, he's just some dude, and then one of the other people just goes, "God damn it, Barrett," and she's like, "I imagine that's his real name."
Yep. That is a good trope. Love it.
And then the other two, one of them is how Jeremy makes his grand gestures or like life decisions
yes.
during sex.
Only during sex.
Only during sex.
Only during sex.
So funny.
Yes.
And then the third one was Lowen, how she was just like sick of reading the manuscript because she was like, I don't want to keep reading Verity fucking her husband 50 different ways. Like,
because that's most of what we get.
yeah. Anyway, please go.
No, those are the good parts though. So they are now engaged, and also when he comes in her, that is her getting pregnant.
Yes.
So they're ready for children, but she is not. But we'll find out about that when we get back to the action after this random chapter with Lowen. So Lowen's in the office still doing things. She can see that the nurse has Verity outside to get like
this is the beginning of like the horror.
Yeah. Because up until this point, I don't think Lowen has really seen Verity.
Not really.
Because she eats upstairs, she does most of her stuff upstairs, and when Verity is out, Lowen is usually in the office, so it's not important. But she, spots Verity and was like, okay. But then Lowen gets a call from one of the few apartments she applied to after this eviction notice, and they're like, yeah, no, you can't because you got evicted from your last place.
Yeah.
And she's like,
naturally.
Thanks. We love housing decisions.
Yeah.
Not being able to get a house. But Jeremy has overheard the entire conversation, which I hate.
Because she left the door open.
Because she left the door open of this office.
Because otherwise it's a soundproof office.
Yes.
Which is real weird.
Yeah, why would you do that?
I don't know if they ever
Writing is not
explain.
loud.
Well, it was the whole thing of she doesn't, but other people are loud, and when you're writing, you want silence. I think that was the reason that they gave for it, but I'm also just this is a horror novel.
Yes.
Soundproof rooms mean torture.
Yeah, right?
Right.
I think it has to do with the fact that she said that after the twins are born, she ignores them crying all day and writes, and the crying is annoying, so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they are currently in a different apartment. Oh, that was one of my favorite things about her being so obsessed with him. She, basically moved out of her apartment without telling him.
That was so
Jeremy.
fucking funny. Yeah.
And then he's as they're fucking, because the only time he has important information, he's like, do you want to move in? And she's like, yeah, because she's already moved in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
That is really funny.
They're a hilarious couple. I was so annoyed because all I wanted to read was her book, this book,
the manuscript.
instead of Lowen's.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, so after this conversation with the apartment and Jeremy noticing, he's like, you can stay as long as you want. And she's it's you can stay until you get that money that you were promised for writing this book.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay.
This is Lowen, by the way. We've switched back from the manuscript.
Oh my gosh. So then she, continues to hang out in the office. And she spots Jeremy and Crew playing outside, and she's like, oh my gosh, he just deserves to be a dad, and he's so cute with them, and oh my gosh. But also,
yeah, so during this moment of her seeing Jeremy and Crew playing, she sees the curtain moving in Verity's room.
Yeah.
And which is oh my god. She cannot physically do that.
Yeah.
Being in a vegetative state.
Can I just say this is definitely not what C. Hoover wanted, but it reminded me of that scene in Snow White where the evil queen is always appearing.
Okay, but it is
accurate.
But it is.
Yes.
That's exactly what
it's
it
the
is.
evil stepmother.
The evil queen is always peering out of the curtains at Snow White really creepily.
Yeah, because that's the life she wants.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway,
not what Choover?
Choover? Oh no.
But Yeah, so part of the drama is that Lowen is to the universe that we're writing in a crazy person because she's been locked inside her house and she has this history of sleepwalking and like all this stuff. So she's like, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just seeing things like the whole time. But we see this curtain move and we're like, what's going on there?
Yeah. Cause there was the other thing too when she was like out on the deck where like, Lowen was like looking at her and then she like looks away and then looks back and Verity's looking directly at her.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, nope.
That was bad.
I mean, I would nope right out of that house so fast.
Literally, like, I know buying houses is hard, but
don't care.
But I would, like, the moment my daughter drowned,
right?
Like, walking distance from my house.
Can't do it.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I know, right?
I gotta go. I don't care how nice the house is. I don't care how much I invested in it. I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's for later.
So back to the manuscript, and this is when like she's pregnant and
Verity.
Right.
Lowen.
Yes.
Verity
Well, I said
is pregnant,
manuscript.
and she's very upset about it.
Yeah, she's very upset, and
Because
Jeremy's
she's
excited.
fat now.
She's well, yes, because it's like doing horrible, disgusting things to her body.
And that's not like me saying that. Like Verity, I think, says point blank.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
getting
Verity
fat.
says that.
She's very upset about it, and she's also deeply concerned that the children will take away Jeremy's attention from her.
Mm-hmm.
That's like her main complaint. And then she's like, these parasites are making me hideous, and like
Yes.
just so much stuff. But he's obsessed. He's so happy they're having kids.
And I'm just sitting here reading, going, "Wow, this is exactly how I would react being pregnant." Like, ew. In any case, yeah, she's very concerned about the love and the thing, and then this is when the attempted abortion happens.
Well, he's asleep in the next room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they fuck before that?
I don't remember.
Maybe.
But she's...
Because that's another reason why she's upset. Because he, like, is fucking her less.
No, she's upset. He's, like, I think it was, like, that he was fucking her more, but he was, like...
Oh, because he's obsessed with the baby.
He's obsessed with the babies, and she's like,
Breeders.
ew. And it's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he keeps touching her bump and, like, talking to them through the bump.
Which, like, your dick is so close to them, I wish you wouldn't. I wish you wouldn't. But yeah. She tries to give herself a coat hanger abortion.
Actually, I forgot too. She does the sleeping pills and drinking wine to try to do a miscarriage as well.
She tries to force a miscarriage like
multiple times. Yeah,
and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But this coat hanger one is the important one.
Yes. Also, because this is after she asks if Jeremy loves them more than her, and he says yes, because what parent wouldn't say yes? And I know. This is why I'm not having children.
No.
Because no.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he says yes, and she's upset.
Yeah,
and then
horrifying.
abortion.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
No.
Doesn't work. But we don't learn that just yet, because we go back to real life, and she's distraught again over what she's read.
That's her, like, default state.
I mean,
throughout this book, it's just Lowen is distraught, and that's it.
Yeah. But we do discover that Chasten has a scar on her face.
Yes.
And they say that she was born with the scar.
Yeah.
And Lowen's just like, I wonder if this was because of the coat hanger abortion attempt.
Yeah. Which the doctors gave them a different reason.
Yeah, because it's like a common thing for twins to scar.
They scratch each other.
They scratch each other.
Yeah.
The other thing is like they draw cells from each other.
Yeah.
So
it can look like a scar, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is.
But it
because
is.
it's...
Yeah.
Anyway, there's too much medical
not.
stuff that I don't know how to explain.
No.
Oh, right, and then we talk, because we're talking about scars, we talk about Lowen's hand scar. And this is where the sleepwalking thing really... Well, we don't learn that this is the sleepwalking thing, though. It's just... Not then, because, like, she's just, like,
I don't even remember how she got this scar.
It was... Okay. Do we want to talk about this now?
Okay.
Sure. Okay. But, like, it was, so basically she does the sleepwalking thing where she, like, went out of her room and she stood on the railing
Yes.
of their back deck.
Yes.
And she was, like, freaked out because she was, like, unnaturally still while standing there. And it's like, a human being cannot stand that still. Like, you know? And then she, like, falls or, like, throws herself, breaks her wrist hand thing, because they describe the scars being on her hand, but when they describe the accident, they say wrist, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but sure. And then she's still asleep, and she goes back to bed, and she wakes up with this broken wrist. And I'm like, cool. But I think the only thing that you learn is that she, like, gets that, like, she wakes up and suddenly had this scar, or, like, this injury kind of thing. Because she tells Jeremy that it's complicated or something. She doesn't actually tell him what it is.
Because they've trauma bonded, but not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough.
No.
We have to build the tension more.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what else happens after this.
We get like a weird, well, no, I suppose it's not that weird. The weekend nurse, Lowen, likes more than April, who seems to be suspicious of her.
Right. Which is
And-
creepy, because, like, okay.
And Lowen decides to pause reading Verity's manuscript for now, because it's distracting her from the task that she's actually there.
Yeah, she's like supposed to be researching the different book that Verity wanted to read.
Yeah.
So later, Jeremy says, hey, since you're staying with us for an extended period of time, why don't you come with me on the next grocery run, and, you know, you can let me know if you're allergic to anything, or, you know, what kinds of foods you like to eat.
Yeah.
Fine. So they go, and while they're there, they see Verity's friends, Patricia and Caroline. They're displeased to see Lowen with Jeremy, likely assuming that Jeremy has started dating again, and they're, like, openly rude.
Yeah.
Right, I was forgetting whose friends those two were, but they're Verity's friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not her friends. She
Yeah.
doesn't have any friends.
No.
Right.
We established that.
Of course.
She
This
hates them.
shut-in with a dead mom is
Yeah.
very unfriendly.
But
Yeah.
then Jeremy does the ultimate petty thing. When they leave, Jeremy tells Patricia to give my best to Sherman, but her husband's name is William, and Sherman is the guy that she's cheating on her husband with, which is like, okay.
Classic.
Can we like that? That's okay to like that, right? So there's 4 things.
Yeah. That's true.
You trying to accumulate a list to persuade us to like this book more?
Okay, but I'm the one that greatly disliked it.
Yes.
But, like, it's still a good book. Like, it's just... And which is hilarious because I related to the most horrifying part of her being a mother, which is, like, her being a villainous mother. And I'm like, wow, you know? Maybe that's why I hate it. But, like, also, it's just disturbing.
It is.
But yeah.
So Lowen's working one night when she hears Crew scream, and she rushes upstairs and sees him on the floor in Verity's bedroom, bleeding, with a cut on his chin and a knife on the floor. And Lowen takes him to the bathroom to clean him up and clean the cut, and she asks him what happened, and he says, Mommy said I'm not supposed to touch her knife.
Which is so creepy and gross.
So creepy.
Lowen's like,
Crew is such a horror movie kid, and
I know!
He's 5 years old?
5 or 6.
I think so.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I just, like, I know kindergartners are not the most aware, but also, Mommy told me not to touch her knife. Get out of town. Get out of my house. I'm leaving right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
Lowen's
excuse me?
Verity can't talk. Must have said it before the accident.
Yeah.
But then she goes back to Verity's room. She's like, well, either way, best not to leave a knife lying
Well,
around.
no, is it...
Knife's gone.
Yeah.
Knife has vanished.
Because, like, Jeremy was there, though. That was the thing. Like, he
came
obviously
in
heard
later.
Crew scream as well.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, he cut himself with a knife. And he's like, go get the knife. Like, any self-respecting parent would be like, you fucking moron, go get the knife. Like...
Which, she had the child. The situation was like removed.
You're right.
But also, yes, please go get the knife so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and then she comes back being like, there was no knife. And then he goes and checks and's like, there was no knife.
Which, part of it is like, I feel like it's another moment where we're trying to make her seem crazy.
Yes, it is.
At least in Jeremy's eyes, maybe?
Yes.
But also to us, because we're like, ooh, but also Crew has this fucking cut, so we have to get him somewhere.
Yeah.
Which, like, you know,
I forget what her reasoning was.
For falling over
I know.
or something, but
Yeah, I forget what her, like, excuse was, like, of him. Because also then, how do you explain him being like, Mommy told me not to touch the knife?
She doesn't even mention that to Jeremy, does she?
The knife. I don't know.
I don't
Does
think
she?
so.
I don't know.
I don't
Anyway.
think so.
So we're,
feel like
yeah,
that's
the pause
just
from the
crazy.
manuscript doesn't last very long. And
Yeah.
basically the twins are born healthy, even though, like Lori said, the one has a scratch on her cheek. And Verity makes an effort to act like she loves them and all motherly when Jeremy is around. And it's an important moment that she vehemently refuses to breastfeed. Even though Jeremy and the nurses at the hospital apparently disapprove. And Jeremy is holding their twins in the hospital, marveling over them, and Verity is really mad.
Yeah.
She's super upset. She's like, they're so gonna get in the way of my sex life even more, and I hate them.
Yeah. And it's also just like, now you have these two disgusting little beings to take care of, never mind the she doesn't, like you said, she doesn't go through with breastfeeding, which I imagine is probably the grossest feeling in the world, but like, you know, you now have these two little gremlins to take care of.
Yeah.
Like, I would also ignore them.
Yeah, exactly. But we take another break from the manuscript to get back to Lowen's life, which continues to still be very boring. She found like a box of family pictures, and so obviously Jeremy, who loves his family very much, is like, oh yeah, I can tell you all about them. Which is when we get the reveal that Harper has autism, which like was such a... It wasn't an odd detail to add, but I didn't love it for reasons we'll get into in a hot minute.
Yes, yeah.
But it was not great, but she was diagnosed when she was like 3 years old, which is pretty...
That's really young,
But
especially for a girl.
It's young for a girl.
I don't know what it is for boys.
But that is like the age when the symptoms start showing up. It just kind of
The
depends on
average
when
is
you're gonna...
grade 2.
Oh no, you're right,
Oh.
that's true.
Well, when you get diagnosed, but
Yes.
that's like when you're a baby, that's when you start noticing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you think about the changeling thing, it's
exactly.
when they're 3.
Yeah, it's around then. But yeah, she notices because Harper never smiles in these pictures.
Yeah.
Which to her is just so novel, even though she's full of depression. So I don't know why it's so novel.
Because you fake it till you make it, Grace.
Trust me, I know. And she, like, Lowen is just, like, looking at these pictures being like, I don't know how you do it, Jeremy. Like, how do you deal with how awful your life has been? And he's like, honestly, my world has not been the same since my kids died. I'm so upset about this.
I need this dramatic 1800s lounge thing.
A fainting couch?
Yeah,
Literally,
a fainting couch, thank you.
Lowen is exactly a fainting couch girl. Like, oh my gosh. She gets on my nerves so quickly. But yeah, and so, but, like, he's apparently, like, mad at Verity for hitting this car, getting into this car accident where she hits the tree.
Right.
Partially because, like, he's convinced that she tried to kill herself.
Yes.
Which, like, you're allowed to be a little upset at her, but also can you have, like, a bit of sympathy for your vegetated wife? Which, like, obviously he still shows love and care for her and all that stuff. So, like, he has a little bit, but also.
He's a little too pissed off about it.
He's a little too mad about it for my taste. But Crew catches them looking through these family photos and also gets super upset because he's 5 and those are, like, pictures that make him sad because those are his dead sisters. But you know, that's fine. But he just has, like, a total tantrum about it, and so obviously Jeremy now has his attention divided and has to look after his baby. His final baby. Anyway, flash forward for the next chapter. Lowen is talking with the nurse, again, April, who she does not love very much. But they she encounters her while April is feeding Verity at the table.
Yeah.
And April is like talking to Verity as if she is present, and Lowen is not. So April is like, hey, you need to like actually be polite. This is like, she's still a human woman who like could hear you. So like, can you acknowledge her a little bit?
Yeah.
But Lowen just finds her like so uncomfortable that she like.
I mean, same.
Can't.
But yeah.
I know. But also like pull yourself together a little bit. You're living in this woman's house.
Yes, absolutely. Like,
fake it till you make it, as we say. Like, you don't have to smile, but you can at least acknowledge this lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she is very like conflicted on this whole like acknowledging that Verity is present at all. We go on a little bit, and Lowen is hanging out with them outside, and Crew finds a turtle, and he gets like super excited. But then he like puts it back in the grass to like, you know, let it be free, because Jeremy's like, don't keep it, please.
Yeah.
Which my thing is always like, that's full of disease, that's a wild turtle, please don't.
Yeah,
even
fair.
non-wild turtles,
Even
please
non-wild
don't. But the three of them go out to dinner, and they, you know, have a nice little moment, and like Lowen's all like, ooh, a real family. We don't love it. But when she gets back, she obviously has to start reading Verity's manuscript again.
Yeah.
She's in it.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say,
you wanna pick up where I'm leaving off? You like reading the manuscript parts?
I guess. Oh God, since I relate to her the most, horrifyingly.
No, I love Verity's chapters.
Yeah. In any case, so this is like going back to Verity after the twins have been born, and this is like her dealing with them as
Infants.
babies, like infants. I don't know what.
We don't get into their toddlerhood yet.
I don't think so. Not for a bit.
No.
But like it's literally just her being so annoyed that the fact that these things are living human beings that are like, you know, weeks old, that don't know how to regulate themselves, obviously. And so she's just like, they can't afford a nanny, and she's tired, and she has discovered that her best way to do things is to let them cry during the day while Jeremy is at work, and then be overly doting and motherly like at night while he's there, to keep up the act of loving these disgusting little gremlins that she hates so much.
Yeah.
And then there's like the whole thing about her wanting to have sex again, and like
she like tries to seduce him several times.
Yeah.
And like it works a couple times, but something always happens, like one of the girls starts crying or like something like that. And he like, or no, she doesn't notice it yet. Keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was literally just like her being like, oh, this is great because I sleep during the day and I get so much work done during the day, and then I have energy at night to like actually take care of the girls and pretend to be this loving mother and wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the real world, and we have Lowen being like, is she a psychopath or a sociopath? Because it's gotta be one or the other.
Which, like, those are such... I know it was 2018, but those were outdated terms in 2018, too.
I know.
Like, it has become such a thing for me when people throw those words around that I'm
know.
like, God, like, stop watching Criminal Minds right now. You don't deserve it anymore.
Sherlock mentions it, too, because, like...
Fuck Sherlock!
I know. But yeah. Anyway. But yeah, no, you're right. It's absolutely, like, that era. Oh, right. Crew keeps the turtle, because they go down to the basement where they get his old aquarium.
Yeah.
And so that they can, like, house the turtle. And then, he describes that he used to work for realty? I can never say this word.
Jeremy does, not Crew.
Jeremy.
Yes, hopefully.
Was a realtor. Which is why he traveled all the time.
Which is why you travel all the time. But, like, the basement's full of a bunch of stuff, and they also see while they're down there, or Lowen sees at least, a old baby monitor, and that's important for later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he stopped working when Verity got pregnant the second time.
Yes.
Because obviously at this point she was a successful writer and made tons more money than him as a realtor. And that night, Lowen puts on one of Jeremy's shirts to go to bed and imagines that she's in bed with him, which is super gross and creepy. Because at this point, she's pretty much only falling in love with him through the manuscript.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, other than the dinner, I guess.
Yeah.
But still.
And, like, him, you know, they're trauma bonding in the bathroom at the beginning of the book.
Right. But, like, that's, yeah. Anyway, so after she wakes up, she realizes that she's sleepwalked into Verity's bed. Presumably with Verity in it. They don't clarify that, but I'm like, oh no. I think they do clarify that because I'm just like there screaming and it's just like, whew, boy.
I too would find that deeply upsetting.
But also, why there? And she asks herself that question too. Why there? Like, oh man.
But yeah, she basically like rolls out of the bed and starts screaming.
Yeah, and so she like runs downstairs and like locks herself into her room again, and like she's like screaming and crying, and Jeremy apparently laughs it off. And then this is when we learn about how she got her scar. The story about her when she was 10 climbed onto the porch railing and jumped and broke her wrist, and only realized when she woke up.
Which, to be fair to her, but like not quite a comparison, when I was little, we like camped in a trailer a lot, and I got one of the top bunks.
Oh no.
And there was one night where my parents just heard like a thump, and they were like, oh, and they came out, and I was just lying on the floor.
You hadn't woken up?
No.
Cool.
So they picked me up and put me back in the bed. Because what else do you do? But then I fell off again. And it wasn't until they put me back in the bed the second time that I woke up crying.
It's so funny.
I landed on my back both times. My back hurts so badly.
I can imagine.
Again, another allusion to Grace's origin story.
Accurate.
Very complex.
Yeah.
There's an overarching narrative that's gonna pay off in 20 years. You betcha.
Yep. But this is the beginning of him not really sleeping with her, but he stays in the bed with her until she falls asleep again, but she doesn't actually fall asleep. But I just wanted to take this moment to be like, wow, did he notice she was wearing his shirt? Because that's fucking hilarious. I don't know.
I've done it once. At the beginning.
Oh, where worn his shirt.
Oh, well, yeah. But this is purposeful.
Yeah.
Like, that's very...
Pantless?
Presumably, I don't know. It's very different than strangers' head gets splatted onto your shirt and you have to steal a stranger's shirt to look remotely presentable.
Are you saying that's sexier?
No. I'm saying her randomly putting on a shirt. Oh, God, no. Her deliberately putting on a shirt to go to bed is...
It's very different.
Very different. Yeah. And then this also brings up the putting the lock on the outside of her door.
Yes.
Because initially when she asked for a lock on her door, it was like to keep them out, and it's like, no, it's to keep me in. But yeah, then they do that. And back to the manuscript. So this is when they're 6 months old. And the twins, yes. And Verity has a nightmare about them being like 9 or 8 or something like that. And she watches, like, in her dream, Harper smother Chasten. And she's like, when she wakes up, she's surprised that she, like, feels sad.
About one of them being dead.
Yes.
Which makes her realize that Chasten is her favorite.
Yeah.
Which, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Because, like, that was the thing, is, like, she goes to, like, comfort them crying, and she's, like, surprised that she's, like, excited to, like, go comfort them, but then she realizes that it's Harper crying and not Chasten, and then she's like, ugh, you know?
Yeah. Especially because she thinks this dream is, like, an omen of, like, Harper killing Chasten.
Yeah.
So now she hates Harper.
Yeah.
But loves Chasten.
In this same chapter is
Yeah.
the first time that she attempts to kill Harper.
Yeah.
Because she does the thing where she, like, shoves her fingers to the back of her throat
Yeah.
and, like, attempts to mimic her choking on her own vomit. And then Jeremy walks into the room and she's like, okay.
Yeah.
You know? Shockingly, Lowen is upset.
I don't think this is the one where we flash back to her and she's vomiting.
No, it's not. It's not.
I'm still not over that.
I know.
I'm never gonna be over that one.
And then, just like the whole thing about she stops writing about Harper for the most part, and then Jeremy makes her margaritas and tacos, like makes
For Lowen?
Lowen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see how that would be confusing. the way-
Right. Because Lowen is like says some offhanded thing about how that's like her favorite food or something.
Yeah, like when
so
they went
he,
grocery
like,
shopping. That
bestows
was.
it upon her. She's like, oh my gosh. Wow. Which same things happen in Crush.
Oh God, can't wait to read that. Whenever Tessa brings the book back. It's fine. In any case, they talk about the house and Verity and Verity's parents and her parents, like, disowning her for writing thriller novels for God knows what reason. That never comes up again.
No. Though in like Verity's manuscripts, she does mention her parents being like
Super religious.
and like
Does she?
totally against her.
Like
behavior and
marrying
stuff.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Yes. I
That's
don't
at least
remember.
one of the things I remember this
Yeah.
episode about.
It's the only
This
thing.
hasn't happened yet, but Jeremy mentions to Lowen later on that when he called Verity's parents to let them know what happened with the car accident, they were like, she deserved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
It is, and it's very interesting when we get to the twist.
Yes. And then we talk about therapy for a bit because, oh boy, do these people need therapy.
Oh my gosh.
And because Lowen went into therapy for her sleepwalking thing,
Yes.
and she was like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because, you know, it's a pretty good thing to do.
And Crew is he's not
They
in
were-
therapy anymore, but he was.
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
And then Jeremy was like, I don't want to reinforce all of these negative things in his mind while he's still a child for, like, you know, what if that fucks him up, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, and then she talks about how obviously she freaked her mother out like crazy after she, you know, broke her wrist and
Almost died in her sleep.
almost died in her sleep, and her mother, like, stopped treating her the same. But yeah. And then Jeremy tells Lowen finally that he was the one that read her book, not Verity, and wanted her to write for Verity.
I
Yeah.
know we're probably going to talk more about this later, but I don't like Jeremy.
No.
He is so fucking creepy.
It's a little creepy.
So, back to the manuscript.
Yes.
Verity's books do really well. Now that we're up an income bracket, they buy this house in Vermont.
Yes.
And Jeremy and Verity get in an argument about the fact that she's constantly talking about Chasten and doesn't seem to care about Harper's well-being. And Verity kind of talks him down, saying it's just because that the two children have different sets of needs. And then to show that she pays attention to Harper, she says, oh yeah, one of the daycare teachers thinks that Harper might have Asperger's. And to get rid of his bad mood, she then tells Jeremy that she's pregnant again.
Just a lie.
He is very happy. And she realizes in a reversal of mindset that he actually loves her the most when she's pregnant. So, conclusion, she has to try and be pregnant
Ew.
all the time.
Right? Like, get
Yeah.
your breeding kink away from me.
And after they have sex that night, Verity tells herself that a miscarriage will be easy to fake. But then she actually gets pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, the next few chapters mainly involve descriptions scenes of the sex life
Mm-hmm.
with brief interludes about Crew. Back in the real world, Lowen's been here a couple weeks and she's pretty much done all she can. She takes a break to watch some television. Jeremy joins her and mentions that her birthday is the next day, and he bakes her a cake. And that night after Crew goes to bed, they finally almost have sex on the couch, and Lowen stops because she sees Verity at the top of the stairs.
Ugh.
However, Jeremy's like,
Horrible.
Verity can't walk. And when Lowen goes into Verity's room, she sees that Verity's asleep in her bed. And by the time she wakes up the next morning, she's like, yeah, maybe I didn't actually see that, and I'm just insane.
Maybe I just feel so much guilt about sleeping with this woman's husband.
Yeah.
No.
And she's
But
like,
I'm hallucinating.
Maybe I really need to show this manuscript to Jeremy so that he can understand what type of a person Verity really is.
Yeah.
Back to the manuscript. Verity gets pregnant with Crew, as I said. At this point, they have a full-time nanny, and Jeremy's also staying home. Time passes, and Verity's busy with book tours, and she realizes that Jeremy will have sex with her when she comes back from these tours, so she starts faking business trips.
I forgot about that.
Right?
It's so stupid.
Okay, I love Verity.
Yeah.
Like she's so fun.
Yeah.
In this manuscript version of her, she's very fun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I get to leave the house and then I get to have sex. I don't have to deal with the children for a week and then I get to have great sex.
Yeah.
Like, respect. I respect the hustle.
Absolute respect.
Yeah.
So Verity's home the next day when they get a call from the hospital about Chasten. Chasten and Harper had a sleepover, and
Wow, that just comes out of the fucking nowhere, doesn't
it
it?
does.
Wow.
She's passed away because of her peanut allergy. There is no proof of this, but Verity suspects that Harper did something to Chasten based on that dream that she had, and she says that she wished she would have killed Harper before then.
Yeah.
When I had the chance.
Meanwhile, in the real world, Lowen continues to wonder if Verity's faking her injuries, and she is maybe thinking that Verity is trained herself not to react to things and
Yeah.
is faking her vegetative states. And she begins to hear the television turning off and on at different hours of the day
Yeah.
in Verity's room. The implication here being that Verity is obviously
Doing it
turning
herself.
it off and on.
Yeah.
Later, Lowen asks Jeremy why he doesn't put Verity into like a full-time care facility, and Jeremy says he does not want to take Crew away from his mother. And that night, Lowen and Jeremy finally have sex. Yay! The next morning, Jeremy's like, I feel something for you. And when they go to exit the room, however, it turns out that that lock has been locked. Something has locked them in Lowen's bedroom.
That's the horror movie.
Yes.
Lowen suggests it's possible Verity did it and took Crew. Jeremy kicks through the window, and when he gets back into the house, it turns out both Crew and Verity are asleep in their beds. And meanwhile, back in the manuscript, where the action is.
We're all just here
6
screaming.
months later, after Chasten's death, Verity confronts Harper about why she is not upset about it, and Harper insists that she does care. And Jeremy suggests that Verity take the kids to go play by the lake while he shops for groceries as some bonding. They get into the boat with Verity at the back, Crew in the middle, and Harper at the front. They're in the middle of the lake. Verity tells Crew to hold his breath, and then she purposely capsizes the boat and only saves Crew. As Crew frantically screams for Verity to save Harper, Verity orders Crew to run into the house to call Jeremy, and then just doesn't save Harper. She very slowly swims back out to the middle of the lake, and so that she can pretend to look for Harper. She's not really when the police arrive, so that there's no suspicion. Harper is found dead, and Jeremy does not look at Verity afterwards, and therefore does not have sex with her.
Therefore, that was probably my favorite part of the book.
Yeah,
I'll be
them not having
totally
sex.
real. No. Yeah, the methodical, I'm going to whisper to Crew so that Harper doesn't hear. I'm going to capsize the boat. I'm going to take Crew out even though Harper is drowning behind me. I'm going to sit on the beach for 30 minutes. And, like, she tried to plan out how long it would take Jeremy to get back from the grocery store so that he would arrive at the right time. And, like, she, hung out in the water for, like, as long as whatever to, like, make it seem like she was hyperventilating. And then when she, like, hears the car pull in, she starts screaming, like, hit it. It's so good.
Yeah.
It was very good, as much as it was, like, an awful thing.
Right.
It was
but it's very well written and very well planned as the character.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a whole, like, okay, so this is part of why I am annoyed by this autism diagnosis, because it is just, like, another excuse for Harper to be low empathy.
Right?
So that it's, like, fucking weird that you don't seem upset about this, Harper.
Yeah.
I promise I am. That's my twin sister, who I spent the last 9, were they 9?
Yeah,
I think they're 9.
8 or 9 years,
Which is
attached
strange
to.
that her dream in the manuscript was also them being that age. But
Right?
sorry, go on.
But also, for the plot twist later, that could be...
I know!
They may
It's so fucked! Alright, please go on.
So Lowen tries to have a conversation with Crew to find out what he thinks happened that day in the canoe. Like, hey, do you remember anything?
Well,
and
then
then
peanut butter crackers.
Crew
Which
says,
seems
Mommy said I shouldn't talk to you
very
if you
cruel, if
ask me questions
anything.
about her.
Sorry,
Oh,
what?
I didn't even think about that!
Yeah! His twin sister had a peanut allergy and he's fucking eating peanut butter crackers after she just read the manuscript of the other one dying. Sorry, I was talking over you. I didn't hear a word you said.
I said, Crew tells Lowen that Mommy said I shouldn't talk to you if you ask me questions about her.
Again, in the present tense.
Exactly.
So horror movie. So, like, half of this is Lowen being like, okay, so is Crew also crazy?
Yes.
Is he just, like,
Right.
imagining his mom saying these things? Is this, like, a therapy thing that he was told to do? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Case in point, Crew bites down on a knife and he requires stitches. So Jeremy goes to take Crew into the ER for stitches.
Is it a
And
bone?
Lowen goes downstairs, grabs that baby monitor, and sets it up in Verity's room to try to track if she moves
Yes.
in the
Does he even do
manuscript.
anything? Yeah.
After Harper's death, the police do question Verity, but Jeremy's questioning is worse, and he asks her why his crew said that you told him to hold his breath. Verity tries to sell the story that she said that because she could feel them tipping and not before, but she knows that he's figured it out, and she contemplates driving into a tree, which is the end of the manuscript.
Cause she's like, if he hates me, I might as well die.
Yes.
In fact, this is exactly how I would kill myself if I were going to die. I would just drive my car into a tree.
Yeah.
And that's the last line of this unfinished manuscript.
Yeah.
So Verity's like, ooh, oh no.
Yeah, what will happen to my sex life? Lowen finishes the manuscript just as Jeremy's returning from the hospital. When Jeremy goes to take a shower, Lowen sees Verity getting out of bed.
Through the baby monitor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lowen
Very
screams
important.
for Jeremy to come see, but Verity hears and scrambles back into bed. Lowen insists that Verity is faking it, and Jeremy tells her that that's impossible, and then Lowen brings out this manuscript and says, read it, especially the last 2 chapters, and it takes a little bit of time for him
He goes
to
into a
read.
different room, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then he marches into Verity's room and demands that he tell her the truth, that she tell him the truth, pardon me. And at first she continues to pretend to be in a vegetative state, but then Jeremy says, I'm going to the police unless you drop the act, and finally she gets up. Didn't see that coming, not at all.
In the middle of strangling her when she gets up? Does he not, like,
No, he starts to
that's-
strangle her when she...
after she starts to try and explain what happened?
Yeah.
Yes. Lowen talks him down from strangling Verity and reminds him that Crew's not going to have a father if he becomes a murderer.
Yeah.
And then she says, but you gotta make it look like an accident.
Yeah, all you gotta do is make it look like an accident. Because
And
even though
in some-
she's so sensitive, she's also
A cold-blooded killer.
a cold-blooded killer.
She says, in a moment of poetic justice, make her vomit so it will seem like she choked on her own vomit. And
Like the way that she
Suffocate.
tried to kill Harper
Yeah.
as a baby.
so Verity dies, and they decide to go to bed and find her dead in the morning, and they agree to never speak of it again. 7 months later, Lowen has finished the draft outlines for the book. They've been approved, and the first draft of the first novel is completed. And she's also pregnant with Jeremy's child, which is due in 2.5 months.
From that gross excerpt that Grace read at the beginning of this episode. That was super important. I don't know why we didn't include that in our
when they
recap.
do the sex thing?
When they do the sex thing, and then she purposely holds it inside her.
You read the...
I know,
That's
but
true.
still.
It was included.
Anyway.
So Jeremy's put the house up for sale because it's full of, murder, bad memories. And they're going to clean out the last of the stuff, and Crew makes some offhanded comment about how Verity used to keep stuff beneath the floorboard in her bedroom. And Lowen goes into the room to see, and she finds the knife that had gone missing under the floorboards, as well as an envelope with a handwritten letter for Jeremy. In the letter, which was written by Verity, she says that it was her intention to run away with Crew, and she recalls a conversation with her editor, who Lowen now also works for, who suggested that Verity try out antagonistic journaling in order to help her get into the mindset of an evil character. We know that Verity's books are written from the point of view of the antagonist. So the point is to write about things that actually happened as though she were an evil character. And
So the
Verity
journal.
got really into it.
Yeah.
Verity talks about how Jeremy ended up finding the journal entry about Harper, but the truth was that Harper's death was an accident, and she continues to insist that the story that she initially told to the police and to Jeremy is the actual truth. And yeah.
Which, this is the twist ending that Grace and I are both sitting here going, fucking hate.
It ruined the book for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was fine. It was a fine book, and then this twist happened, and I was like, no, it's garbage. Why would you do that? And the, most annoying part to me is that Lowen eats the letter.
Yeah!
Which,
yeah, why?
Why would you do that? It just brought me back to when I read Man in the High Castle, where, one of the one female character you follow eats, razor blades or something.
Yeah, it's
for
no
reason.
fucking why? Yeah.
But, yeah, so she eats this letter to, hide the evidence so that Jeremy won't learn that, he literally just killed his wife for no reason.
Assuming that's true.
Assuming that's true. But another important part of the letter was that Verity claims that Jeremy drugged her and put her in the car and set up this suicidal moment because he read the manuscript, so he saw that last line.
And tried to murder her.
And tried to murder her in the way that she said she would kill herself.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so... And Janine also read this book, and she told me that almost every time she reads a book, she will, look into stuff about it and, author interviews and stuff. And for this one specifically, even Miss Hoover does not know what the true ending of this story is.
Oh, I hate that.
She does not know who the true villain is. She's saying that.
Choover.
Choover.
Choover. Miss Choover. It's claiming that she doesn't even know.
Smash. Okay, but we also decided on Smash. Smash
is better.
Alright.
Smire was pretty good.
I love Smire.
Alright.
I didn't make that one up, but I love it.
No.
But yeah, so, she claims that even she doesn't know, what really happened in this moment. But it to me, it is so cheap to say that. It just...
What, that she doesn't know, or...?
That even as she's writing it, she does not know what the real story is.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's so lazy to me. This is the laziest twist.
It is.
It's the laziest twist.
Okay, but, it's not, the ending with the letter and the twist that bothers me. Okay. What bothers me, for sure, is that she's I don't know what the real thing is. Because I think that, the letter is actually very true to form.
Yeah.
In, the most gaslighting-y way possible.
Yeah.
And it's just yeah, I can totally see that character doing something that's stupid.
Oh,
but also,
100%.
at the same time, her writing this letter does not absolve her from all of these things because she's faking a vegetative state.
Because she's scared of Jeremy, though.
Okay, but
assuming that's true.
There's two sides to this, right?
Okay.
Because that's the thing that bothers me of her being I don't know what the real story is.
See, I
because I'm
think there's two sides.
Why not?
I want you to
You
finish
think
the
they're
two sides
both
first.
You think they're both abusive people, because, like, I mean, that's also, I guess that's a third possibility, because
They both just suck.
they both just suck. Because my thing is, like, all of it is true. Verity is, like, you know, whatever.
Just a really good writer.
No.
Oh.
That she's done all of these
that
things.
she's an awful person.
That she's an awful
Okay.
person, and she's, because, like, and this letter is just straight up gaslighting, like, true to character. The other one is that Jeremy is this abusive, controlling human being who's, set up this whole thing, because it makes sense, because of all the tiny little details.
Yeah.
Which I kind of agree with Maddie's third option of they're both a little bit, scary.
Yeah, it's that, and also the thing that really turned it for me into, I actually think that Verity's the main antagonist here, is the fact that the whole point of antagonistic writing is to take events that did happen and write about them in a specific way. So, the court hanger abortion did happen.
Ooh.
All these things
But
did
not-
happen.
But maybe not for
maybe
the same
not.
reason that she states? Is that what you mean?
But, like, that could also just be embellishment.
Yeah.
How do you embellish, like...
Well, because
That could be an embellishment of her just being like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant and I don't love this.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, okay,
'Cause
I
we're-
would accept that, but yeah, that's the thing that really made it for me go to, okay, I think that the manuscript is actually erring more on the side of truth, because
Yeah.
the point, if you read what the editor said about antagonistic writing, it's like you take these events that did happen, nothing is made up, and you just frame them differently, so, okay, so all these events did happen, you did do these things.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't as bad, but it's still pretty bad, so
Yeah.
I'm going with Verity's the main antagonist, even if she isn't as bad as the manuscript paints her out to be.
Yeah.
I think that she's still the main antagonist, and frankly, you know, having been blessed with loving parents in my life, I know that they would murder anyone who tried to threaten my life, and, you
Yes.
know, assuming that Jeremy picked up the manuscript and seems to have believed it, you know.
Oh, that was the thing we forgot to mention, because he goes into the other room while she's assuming that he's reading it, but, like, then it's the letter of him, Verity being like, you found this, and she's just like, you know.
Right. And she was staying in that vegetative state for so long and pretending for so long because she was trying to find it.
Yes.
To, like, make sure that no one else found it, to, like, not implicate her in all these bad things that she claimed that she did.
Yeah.
Which I forgot about, but also continue to totally believe. Like, no, I don't think trying to give yourself an abortion is, like, it's not immediately villainous to me. I'm gonna be real.
No.
Like, I have sympathy for this woman.
Super
Even
late
if it
term.
is, like, oof.
Yeah.
Totally, and I realized that the way I said it may have come off that way, so I
Yeah.
apologize for that. But,
No.
like, for example, the other stuff, like shoving her fingers down her infant's throat.
Yes. Well, yeah. But, yeah. That's, like, a super specific detail. That's just, like, okay.
Yeah.
Were you researching ways to kill people without leaving a trace? Like, is that where that came from, you know? But the other thing, too, was, like, talking about Jeremy being an antagonist, was him performing this discovery of the manuscript
Yes,
and
I don't like it.
triggering murdering her,
Yeah.
which is super interesting.
That's why I lean towards believing, like, at least a bit more of the letter. Like, that whole claim that Jeremy read it and tried to kill her. Like,
Right.
he's just so sketchy the entire
He's very
time.
sketchy.
And then, rather than, like, turning in this manuscript to the police and
Right.
sending Verity to jail, because this is, that's bad stuff.
Yeah.
He just decides to he wants to strangle her. Like, that's a bad way to go, and it's an intensely personal way to kill someone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And he is half doing it to prevent her from defending herself and trying to explain what happened. Like, he is just, like, I just don't trust him. I see it as him deciding that he's tired of one wife and picking up a new one. Like, she she literally becomes Verity to him. I don't like it. I don't like it.
No, I completely agree with that. I cannot completely forgive Verity.
That's fine.
No, yeah. But, like, before, it was just, like, I said the thing about, like, her pretending to be in the vegetative state for so long, and you were just like, but she was afraid of him. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, but I also, now I really want to go back through and, like, find out for sure if Crew was like, yeah, she did say, hold your breath.
Oh.
Because that is
No.
such a damning thing.
Yeah.
Like, but also, like, the, there was something else, and I've completely forgotten what I was about to say, but, just another thing about Crew, like, the things that he says about his relationship with his mother, that's just, like, it's a little creepy, and super damning for her, that I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting over, yeah. Not getting over either of them.
No.
That is, I mean, that's pretty much Verity, though. Like,
Yeah.
It's
Super complicated and fucked up.
Confusion
Yeah.
is the title of this.
Confusion.
Yeah, it's just confusion. Choover confusion.
Like, I am open to open endings, but the way this is open ended is the way that annoys me with open endings.
Yes.
I
Like,
get it.
I when it's a whodunit, I want an answer.
Right?
You give
Otherwise,
me an
why
answer.
did you, just sit through that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the sound cooperated. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
No one called 911 tonight, so there were no fire trucks going by my house.
Yeah.
Plus.
Woohoo! So thank you for listening, and we're going to be on a more consistent upload schedule.
Hopefully.
Keep your eyeballs peeled on the YouTube channel that we will be updating in the next week with some of our backlog of episodes. We are also going to probably create a TikTok
Maybe.
and an Instagram for sure. And we will put some mini reviews on there. You guys will get to see books that Grace did not rage quit.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, so we will post about that when we have the opportunity. Thank you for listening. Please share the podcast, like the podcast,
Subscribe.
breathe the podcast, become the no, don't become the podcast.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
This
Cool.
was Books, Bitches, and Bullshit. Thank you for staying with us.
Bye.
Bye.